meeting with Casey Williams, a science teacher at Labai Middle School, for his post-observation conference for his CF test appraisal. Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning.
Well, today, Mr. Williams, or Casey, can I call you Casey?
Sure.
We're going to talk about the lesson I observed on Friday. And we're going to start with a reflection on the lesson, what you felt worked and what didn't work. And then we'll talk about the micro goal we set a couple of weeks ago. So tell me, for the lesson I observed on Friday, what were the academic learning objectives?
Well, we've been studying the major and minor moon phases. So on Friday, we were kind of putting it all together. And students were to attain the ability to draw and name all 8 moon phases in order in 2 different ways. And it was one in sequence and another one on a calendar.
Okay. So, and a few weeks ago we set a micro goal that you were going to work on getting the class started, shaving off more time it took in transition from out in the hallway into your classroom to getting class started. So how did you do?
Well, I started using the strategy threshold, and it's really improving the behaviors of the students as they enter my room, and I can get started much quicker and right away almost.
Okay, so back in the fall, we were timing your transition from the hallway and getting class started. It was getting up to 10 minutes. On Friday, I observed that you were standing in the doorway greeting students. You were giving them a little mini check as they walked in and telling them hello, giving them high fives. That's really good for your culture of your classroom relationship building, so I was glad to see that. And then from the bell ringing to you taking roll and getting started on the questioning strategy for your warm-up, you had it down to 3 minutes. So that is really good. Keep that up. Keep practicing, keep being consistent with your students. They are 8th grade, and that's just a matter of you having to manage their behavior when they get started in class.
Yeah, and we've been working on that stuff every day, and I started being consistent with my expectations of how I want the first minute after the bell rings to kind of look like, and we can get through the warm-up very quickly that way. And I integrated more clear and consistent systems and traditions so students know and they understand that the class works and starts.
It is evident that you've been practicing, and it's evident that the kids are listening and responding to your practice. Most students walked in and got their warm-up and sat down and began working. About 90% compliance, so keep practicing and we'll get 100% before you know it.
I'm still working on 100% compliance, but I use the pause strategy for questioning that you and I talked about.
Okay, how's that working for you?
Well, PAUSE stands for prompt, ask, wait, and elicit. And I've been focusing on asking more prompts that allow students time to think, collaborate, and they go back and they read notes if they needed to before I ask the questions. It is working because it allows students time to process and think. And several students have actually told me that they appreciate the time I give them to think. And I'm still working on wait time and how I respond to incorrect responses. But I have improved since the fall semester, and one thing I do get worried about is I worry about losing the class if I wait too long. But I do need to allow for processing time.
Well, wait time is probably one of the most difficult strategies that teachers have to work with. Even veteran teachers are going to struggle with wait time, but it is extremely important to give the kids time to process. One tip that I would give you is when you're acknowledging answers, be sure that you use the same acknowledgement throughout and you're consistent. So you don't want to say, good job to one kid and, oh, that was a wonderful answer, or to the next kid, oh, you're so smart, that's such a great answer. Because that first kid might be thinking, well, my answer was just as good as the other person and I only got a good job. And so if you're consistent and everyone gets a good job or everyone gets a, thank you for your effort response from you, then it builds rapport with your students. Next, you recapped the moon phases. Tell me about that. I noticed that the students had a baseball diamond on their desks.
So I've been chunking the content first with the major phases and then with the more minor ones. And so they kind of put it on a baseball diamonds, and it's kind of the visual anchor. It helps them visualize what all the moon phases look like in a way that they can relate to.
I noticed that you were in the power zone when you were reviewing with students. Good job, and you could tell that the students are used to you being next to them, monitoring their progress.
Yeah, the point of that was I was listening for misconceptions.
Right. It's very evident that that you do that all the time, because trust me, I can tell when a teacher is not in the power zone, the students react differently, and your students are very used to you being there. And I liked it that there was evidence that they could count on you if they had a question, and you were just right there for them. So, and they were very engaged. So tell me some more about the baseball diamond strategy and how that's working for you.
Well, the baseball diamond strategy, it has made the moon phases more relevant to students. I will definitely use it again next year. Only I need to make sure to slow down and chunk the content more. At first, I tried to teach all phases in one lesson, and that was unsuccessful. So the next day, I focused on major phases, and the next day, the minor ones. It took an extra day, and hopefully I don't make that mistake again next year.
Okay. Well, I like to hear this, that you're being more able to regulate where the students are in their learning. This is growth for you. Let's get back to the lesson. After you recap the phases, what did the students do next?
So after the recap of the phases, I had the students do a quick draw of all 8 phases. I was pretty happy it didn't take too long. And today, actually, we added the vocabulary of waxing and waning.
The kids really like that waxing video clip.
That video helps students know why the term waxing is used. I want to create a movement mnemonic to reinforce the motion of the candle being dipped into the wax. It's a good iron or anchor for the kids, but it needs to be refined and more purposeful. I am sure there were some students who were thinking, why are we watching this? Which is fine. I want that feeling of curiosity. I need to make a better attempt of labeling the experience when we finish watching the clip. Then the students completed the calendar prediction chart, and I found they were able to make predictions on moon phases with some help since they had a good grasp of moon phase, names and images. The learning goal is for them to complete it independently.
Would there be anything you would do differently?
I would create a motion mnemonic for the waxing motion and have the students move it. I wish the calendars were larger so students could practice together before they write their phases. They need more practice, and some students had to erase, which is time consuming. Maybe have the moon phases on small slips of paper, so they can move around before they draw them.
Okay. How did you know that the students could demonstrate their knowledge?
Well, as I was walking around, I could see and hear their conversations and do a quick check.
Okay.
I was mainly looking for misconceptions, and I also gave a quick mini quiz as an exit ticket before they left.
Yes, there was evidence that you were in the power zone. What did you find out from the exit ticket?
Well, we still need one more day of practice. Students can draw the phases correctly, but they have difficulty labeling them correctly. So they mix up waxing and waning and all that.
Okay. I saw evidence of engagement in student discourse, and you provided immediate feedback for them. They were on task, but what are your main concerns for your students today?
Well, they still need to manage their behaviors, but again, that's normal for 8th graders. So, I need to make sure everyone gets a chance to practice, because some students rely on their partners to carry the workload, and this is an area of growth for me for sure.
So what you can do if you have that situation, and especially when you're doing partner work, is even though they're working in a partner, you can make sure everyone has their own answer document. So everyone's responsible. You can also establish roles for the students where you have a summarizer or a leader, and they can kind of keep everyone responsible for the different, their own responsibilities. You can use callbacks and think alouds. That way they have to be responsible for saying it. You can use visual, auditory, and kinesthetic strategies so everyone's involved. Because students will take a back seat if someone's taking the lead and doing all the work, then they're going to sit back and do that. So you can do callbacks, get them to stand up and say something out loud. They could go through all the moon phases together as a class. That's something that you can do to keep them accountable. I do see evidence of your ability to see misconceptions and provide immediate feedback. Keep being consistent and insistent on your procedures and systems and rules. Do you think they will do well in their assessment?
Yes, I do. I plan on encouraging theta scans, and we will do retrieval practice each day. So they will be ready. There are several kids who have been absent or they're not getting the phases. So I do have open lunch period, and the students can come in and we can work and practice some more anytime they want to.
I see evidence of your ability to make conceptual adjustments so that you know that the students are mastering their concepts. Let's think about next year. What are 2 goals to reflect on over the summer?
Well, I want to work on better systems for transitions. I want to shave off time until the time it takes to move on from one part of the lesson to another. I want to refine my classroom management. I think if I am more proactive in my lesson planning instead of reactive, I will be a better manager. And I want to incorporate EDLD.
Okay. EDLD?
Yes.
Okay.
I just call it EDLD, easier for me to remember.
Sure.
More enrolls and experiences for students before I drop the label of academic vocabulary. I have demonstrated knowledge and review down. I want to celebrate more when students take academic risks.
Perfect. Yeah. So we need to capture and hold working memory, and by doing that, we're ensuring that the common experiences that the students have will help cement that knowledge. Because remember, when they go to sleep at night, their brain is processing all this information. So if we give them an enroll, we work on piquing their curiosity, give them a common experience, and then drop the label on them, then we're apt to remember their information. So I love your culture of achievement and safety and support in your classroom. You have high expectations for your students. Keep it up. I have one more question before we talk about your rating.
Okay, thank you for that.
A goal for me this year was to provide feedback that was relevant, action-based, and provided immediate transfer into your classroom. How did I do?
I would say yes. I do want to get better at teaching, and you provide in the moment feedback consistently for me, and I can apply them immediately. And I also benefit from the practice you align with the action steps we develop together. So many small moves that improve my instruction. I value you allowing me to see other teachers who are great exemplars of good practice. I do feel supported and that you want me to be a better teacher.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk about our ratings.